Now let us consider how exactly God, the unmoved mover, moves other things. It's somewhat puzzling because if the unmoved mover does not itself move, it seems like it wouldn't be able to move anything else, right? The only way that I can move the pencil is by myself moving. But God, this substance which is pure actuality, totally immaterial, and so on, is supposed to move things without itself moving. And indeed, if it itself moved, that would be a problem. That would be a sign that that thing is not actually this divine being. The unmoved mover is not actually God, because if it itself moved, it wouldn't be unmoved. So, how on earth can it cause motion in other things? How on earth can it cause other things to happen without itself changing or moving? That's the puzzle that Aristotle addresses in chapter 7 of book 12. And his idea is that the unmoved mover moves things in the same way that an object of thought or desire does. So let's say you have me. Yeah, there's me down there. And I have a thought of ice cream or whatever, a desire for ice cream. That thought, as I'm thinking about it, might then cause me to go to the ice cream store to get ice cream, right? The thought or that object of desire, that object of thought, that whatever thought of ice cream that I had caused my motion, caused my movement. It's what made me go to the store, right? So bring me back along with my thought. Aristotle's idea is that the unmoved mover moves things in the same way that my idea of ice cream moved me. The idea of ice cream, the ice cream that I have in my mind or whatever, that's the object of thought. That is an object of thought. Aristotle will also call it an object of desire or an object of love. He says all of these things move other things in the same way. And it's in this way that the unmoved mover moves things, right? Now, what Aristotle would point out is that that object of thought, that idea that I have of ice cream, it doesn't itself move. It's inert. It doesn't necessarily change or move or anything like that. It itself doesn't move. But yet, it causes me to move, right? And so, this object of thought, which doesn't itself move, causes other things to move, right? This object of desire, this object of love causes other things to move. The object of thought is an unmoved mover. It moves other things without itself moving. That's the way in which God, or the unmoved mover, moves other things. That's Aristotle's idea. It moves other things by being thought about by them or by being desired in some sense by them. That's how God, or the unmoved mover, moves other things. Now, in chapters 7 to 8, what he's particularly concerned with is a bit of outdated astronomy. He's concerned with how God causes the planets and stars and sun and moon to move. And so we get some kind of outdated astronomical speculation. It's of great interest. It's very interesting, but it is outdated, obviously. But that's really what takes center stage in chapter 8. And Aristotle goes on a kind of lengthy discussion of how many of these unmoved movers there must be. The exact implications of this discussion are unclear. Aristotle indicates throughout throughout book 12, but really it's chapter 8 and then chapter 10, I believe. In chapter 8, how many unmoved movers are there? He says there's either 55 or there's 49. What's going on here is he thinks that that many separate unmoved movers would need to be postulated in order to account for the various movements that you see in the night sky. That's it, really. It doesn't really matter. But then in book 10, he says, no, actually, there's probably just one of these things. How that all fits together, how many there actually are, doesn't really concern us. We're not going to be all that worried about it. I'm going to continue to talk as though there is only one of these unmoved movers. But if there are multiple of them, it's simply to account for astronomical phenomenon in Aristotle's view. And so it doesn't really matter for our purposes. One thing that should be clear, however, and that I'll clarify, though he is an ancient Greek, he is not thinking of these divine beings as Zeus and Apollo and Hera and whatever. He does not believe in the traditional Greek religion, and neither did Plato. He's got his own particular view on divine things that's not rooted in the kind of the traditional mythology of ancient Greece, right? And so he's not thinking about Zeus. Aristotle's unmoved mover is very different from that, right? And so his idea is that it is out of desire or out of thinking about this unmoved mover that the planets and stars rotate in circles. It's what causes their movement. Why exactly thinking about the unmoved mover would cause the sun or the stars or whatever to rotate in a circle, we don't know yet. We're going to have to wait until we get to chapters 9 and 10 to find out. We're going to have to wait until we get to those chapters to see how exactly or why exactly thought of or desire for the unmoved mover causes the particular kinds of motion that it might cause.